Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from Tobi Libbra, who's a CEO and founder. Tobi is the owner and founder of 459 Consulting, LLC, and is a private investigator with the state of Alabama, license number 1031, focusing on corporate cases and internal investigation, fraud, and large-scale racketeering. She is also a certified master coach and cyber risk manager in finance, real estate, and insurance. With over 22 years as an extensive leader in real estate finance, Tobi is also a national speaker and educator in cybersecurity, leadership, and strategic growth. Tobi owned and operated an independent real estate agency for 13 years before switching to finance and side of the industry. For the last several years, Tobi has provided cyber awareness training, prevention, and remediation services to the real estate industry. Certified in cyber risk management, Tobi built and co-directed a cybersecurity division for a national insurance provider that operated in all 50 states from the ground up and has held positions on all several national boards. Tobi is passionate about coaching, educating companies on cyber awareness, and building security platform that aligns with their goals and culture. At 459 Consulting, she believes in a holistic approach in both sales, leadership, and coaching, organizational development, and or rearrangement, along with providing the best minds in the industry has to offer for your company's security protection and peace of mind. She prides herself on her team, knowing she can provide the very best professionals of her company to yours. Everyone, please give it up for Tobi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tobi. How are you?
I'm doing good. You made me sound a lot cooler than I actually am.
Nah, you sound like you have a crazy, very interesting trajectory in your career, I would say.
It has been a fun ride, and I don't see the end anytime soon, God willing. But yes, it's been a fun, crazy experience.
Nah, I'm sure it has. I'm sure it's been a roller coaster for you. Can you talk to us a little bit about your the turning point in your career of like, hey, maybe this real estate thing isn't for me. Maybe this is like what I'm really passionate about, and why you got into cybersecurity?
Well, it's funny. I think once you're in real estate, you either stay in it for the rest of your life and probably die with a pen in your hand, ready to do something. I am still a real estate broker in Alabama. I never did give that license up. It's just part of my soul, I think. But I really fell in love with the finance side. I've worked in the servicing side, insurance. Always was the nerd of the group. So cyber was always an interest. Back when I started, nobody spoke about cybersecurity and things were not like that. I still remember when MLS listings were in a book. That dates me. So it just became a pretty natural flow. I went from strictly selling real estate and managing my own shop to the finance side. It evolved into cyber insurance, which led me to certifications for cyber risk management. I have just become extremely passionate about protection. And so we work with different finance companies, a lot of IMBs, medium-sized IMBs that can't afford a full-time cyber person, security person on staff. So we do an annual contract program with them, and we handle all of their information security programs through their company like that. And they have an on-call CISO, the 24/7, without having to use that expense for employee.
No, it seems like you're always working around the clock. What's been the biggest lesson you learned so far in your career?
COVID.
How so? Tell me.
Let me tell you about cyber breaches during COVID in the finance industry. We were tired and worn out.
Right.
That kind of platform with so much shutdown and everybody going to remote was insane in the cyber industry, because we were taking what we thought we had very controlled environments for a lot of our mortgage companies and finance clients. What we had built as a controlled environment for them in an office, and everyone scattered to homes and remote working sites. And now you have to, it's kind of like herding cats. you had all of the cats in a room, and now all the cats are out in yards everywhere. So COVID was probably the biggest lesson. As far as there's no real control of anything when it comes to information security. You just do the best that you can.
Nah, makes total sense. Makes total sense. Where do you see heading the next 5-10 years? Is like AI going to be assisting you, or is that like something different realm?
My personal jury is still out on AI. I think it's a great tool. I think it needs to definitely be used in a controlled environment. I don't think we need to send every employee out willy-nilly using AI to do every aspect of our business. But I do think it can be a great tool. So ask me again this time next year.
All right, well, things change that fast. It's a very like things change. The seasons change. I'm guessing.
Daily. So information security people are typically behind the 8 ball because we're waiting to see what the bad guys have developed next. So we're always in fix it mode, which is great as far as we have brilliant, brilliant people in this industry, much smarter than I am. And it's a pretty tight knit community. So we rely on each other and what each other's niches are as far as knowledge in different aspects. So at 459, we've really gone to the tunnel of prevention. So pretty much what we do is all of your foundation. We help build your InfoSec policies and procedures. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, here's my InfoSec manual, and it's 13-page boilerplate off of Google that still has fill your name in here because nobody knew what to do with it. Then we're developing a 150-page manual with business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response. Everybody has a role within the company of what they do when a breach happens. We used to say if a breach happens, but now it's just simply a when, because it's going to affect some aspect of everyone's business at some time in their business life.
Well, it's almost inevitable for almost any company then.
Absolutely. And finance is the mecca of information, right? We hold our loan officers in our systems hold every piece of information needed for identity theft. So it is definitely a hot target. We have driver's license, W-2, social, income statements, everything you need for identity theft is held within our industry. So that's why it's such a big target.
Well, I hope you're always being the most reactive possible when anything does occur. What do you think has been the most challenging aspect of being your role in today's role in 2024?
Well, the most challenging is really when we're talking to C-suite employees, because the mindset is still, we're good, we're safe, and nothing's going to happen to me. And you get in an echo chamber in your own internal organization. A lot of people think we're going up against IT and trying to figure out what the IT team has done wrong. And that is furthest from the truth. They are our biggest partners. They are the ones we collaborate most with when we go in a consulting role for these clients. And we will never be a gotcha shop. A lot of people like to just throw a penetration test at a company and tell them all the ways they failed. We absolutely do not believe in that. We start with the foundation of your policies and procedures, show you how to implement that. We practice it with the people that are going to have a role in that. Then we'll typically go on to a vulnerability scan. After that scan is done in your systems, we're going to tell you exactly what is there that needs fixed. We're going to walk with you step by step to fix all of those things. And then we run a true penetration test. So now you know that you're going to pass.
Wow, you actually have a great system and structure in place for your point of systems, I would say.
Thank you.
What's your advice for someone starting out in this industry in cybersecurity? Like how do they work their way up all to the way to where they want to be, like maybe perhaps another Tobi Libbra?
Well, mine was by accident. So I did not grow up saying, gee, I want to, do information security. it was just kind of a progression. And I was seeing the damage that was being done to really wonderful companies simply because they were not given the awareness of what could happen. So that really is what became my passion. And my first instinct was to do my cyber risk management certification, simply because that's where my heart lies, is in the prevention and risk management. So it was a natural progression, actually. But I will tell you, it is wonderful. We're really starting to see a lot of young women, especially. When I first started in this crazy world, I was probably the youngest by far, and usually the only woman in the room. So it is really, it's been really amazing to see the uptick with people wanting and being interested in this line of career.
No, that's why. You definitely carry that feminine energy for the woman. I love it. Where do you want to take 459 these next 5 to 10 years, you think?
459 was always my goal and dream. We have a partner company, Catwork Investigations, which is an investigative firm. I'm the COO. Last year, my partner and I just really started talking about expanding and doing more cyber work. And that's how 459 was born. So I'm very excited to see the ramp up it's had in just, a little over a year and a half. And I just want to keep it growing. And I really enjoy the work with the smaller to mid-sized mortgage companies, because you really see the benefit and you get their people excited and fired up about safety for the consumer and for their own people. So that's my passion, is I really want to stay in this realm with the IMBs and even some of the broker shops, and just get everybody else excited about the prevention and knowing that you've done the very best you can to protect your consumer.
No, I love it. No, so you're working in B2B. What's the average sales cycle? You meet with the company. How long does it take for you to close them on typically?
It varies. Since our contracts go out so far, the sales cycle is actually fairly easy, because we ask them to have a preview of what they already have in place. 9 times out of 10, it's not a lot. And we don't want people embarrassed of that, because let me tell you, every single person that comes to us for a reason. They were in the same shoes that you were in. So we don't think anything about that. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get it right. So the sales cycle is pretty short. We will typically go about a month, maybe 30 to 45 days, looking at what they have, show them what we can do, and give them our footprint of how we want to take their business in a security direction. After that is when the real work starts. So we work hand in hand with their IT team and executive suite and develop a plan that will not create mutiny. You don't want to change every single thing and tell people they have to have a 28-letter password that changes every 5 days. That's when everybody quits on you. So we keep it very simple. We do a step-by-step program of what is the highest importance as far as your security risk, and then we step it down over the next year and really get their employees and the entire staff at all levels involved, so that everybody knows exactly why we're making the changes that we are, and make sure that everyone is comfortable with those.
No, I'm glad you prioritize and you gradually get everybody on the same page. It's not like
Absolutely,
because then you're building continuity when you do that. I feel like.
So true.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had received early in your career, you think, that could have just changed your whole trajectory, just been another catalyst to your career?
I really wish if I could go back and tell my younger 25-year-old self that not to be afraid to take the risks. There's no reason. Sometimes, it's crazy, but sometimes I still just want to dive in the pool and check for water later. It's just now at my older age, I know it's going to hurt worse. But yeah, I wish I would have been a little more of a risk taker in my 20s.
Well, you got to risk it to get the biscuit sometimes.
That's so true.
What do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance with what you do? You being the owner, you having your personal life, and you juggling everything else.
I I talk about this a lot in my coaching, and this is do what I say, not what I do. Still don't have it worked out. My favorite thing that I really tell when I speak or when I'm coaching is there's no such thing. There's no such thing as work-life balance. Here's what you have to do. You have to balance your unbalance. When it becomes over the top that you're feeding one more than the other, that's when you got to check yourself. Go back and make time. If that's time for your family, time for yourself, time for just some enjoyment that does not involve work. You have to take those minutes. And it doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to go on month-long sabbaticals, but a weekend of disconnecting it has never killed anyone's career, and it's never hurt anyone physically. So I think that's what it is. My job as an investigator is all hours of the day and night, and cyber is the same. If one of our clients has a breach at 2 a.m., we're getting the phone call. So there's not a lot of balance in the traditional sense, but I'm an advocate of balancing your unbalance.
No, I love it. I love it. No, it's long nights, short years, and you don't know how fast time goes until you get there.
Absolutely.
What's your take on the future of the industry, and how do you think it's gonna impact all these companies? Do you think it's gonna impact the cybersecurity is gonna go into also like real estate brokerages or just mortgages?
I'm nervous about our industry. It's a different time. I think things are going to go really well if we're willing to transition with what's happening. I think it's like any other time in life. I lived through the break in 2008. I owned a small independent real estate agency during that, and I was watching mentors and people I so respected losing whole real estate brokerages during that time. You got to think outside the box. Everybody thought I was crazy doing REO and foreclosure work at that time with a little bitty independent agency. But by the time the actual break happened, I had contracts with 6 or 7 different small community banks to do all their foreclosure work. And fortunately for us, we boomed. It did not release what I was feeling for all of these great mentors that I had in watching. So I think if everybody stays strong, find your niche, stick to it. Don't try to do 15 things really well. Try to do a couple things perfectly.
No, I love that. Yeah, it's like Bruce Lee. I think was it. Don't practice like 100 punches. Don't practice different 100 punches. Practice like 5 or 10, and that's all you need.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite book or podcast or article that's had a significant impact on your life or work?
Wow. I will tell you, a dear friend of mine, Valerie Gordon, wrote a book, Fire Your Narrator. And I give it to every one of my coaching clients. I have probably read it 15 times. And it is simply the discussion about the voice in your head that tells you you can't do something or you're not worthy. And I would say anyone in production or sales to read this book, because it is an easy read. It's beautifully written. Valerie is super talented author. And that is the one book that just always sticks in my head. And I do give it to every single one of my coaching students.
No, I love it. You have a giver's game mentality. You actually change the trajectory of your clients. No, I appreciate that. If you weren't in the cybersecurity or real estate, what other career path would you have chosen and why?
This is going to sound crazy because it does sort of tie into what I do, but criminal psychology would have been absolutely where I would have done.
Why is that?
Yeah. I think there is a lot to learn from all the bad that happens in the world. And much like we do prevention in cybersecurity, I believe there's a strong prevention in that field of study. So that is what I would have done.
Wow, no, I like that. It seems like you like to reverse engineer things almost.
I do. My partners will tell you that I like to do that with them.
No, that's good. No, at least
always make them think it's their idea.
That's great. That's a great one. That's a great one. Great pro tip right there. But what's the most misunderstood thing about you, your industry, or your work?
Let's see. Let's start with me. Everybody thinks I'm extremely extrovert and I require a lot of solitude. And nobody would believe that because I talk for a living. Our industry, when it comes to security and investigations, I think people believe everything they see on TV, that we're hackers with a black hoodie on, sitting behind a desk in a basement somewhere. It's absolutely not true. And private investigation is not nearly as sexy as you see on TV. It's long nights in your car and a lot of stories that you have to make exit your brain space. So as far as finance industry goes, I think it shows a great divide between realtors and finance, and I don't believe that's real. I believe that is media hype. They both work equally as hard as each other. I wish there was a bigger place to come together for loan officers and real estate agents to truly see how much work the other one puts into it. Being one of the few people that has had my whole life in both realms, I respect the production side of both of those ends of our industry more than I can even explain in this short time.
That's funny. All right. I'll take it for what it is. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be and why?
Wow. That's a deep one, Vincent. I think I would have everyone, if you could have everyone in the same room, understanding what each roles are between ops and production. I think that's where I see more of a meltdown, is who works harder or who does this or who does that, and just respect what the other one does and how much they support each other's careers, even when they don't realize it.
Well, even though everyone's playing their own role, it's like a team almost. You got to get them all on the same page.
Absolutely.
For it to really work on full cylinders and be most optimal. What's the most courageous decision you made recently, and how did it impact you?
I don't know how courageous it is, but most tumultuous decision was obviously starting a home company at the age of 48. We had been working with it, and yes, it is a partner to an existing company that had a lot of success, but it's never too late to do exactly what you dreamed you wanted to do.
Nah, amen to that. I love that. It's never too late to manifest. And I hope you keep manifesting all your visions and goals too, by the way.
Thank you.
What's the next big thing we should expect in cybersecurity, and how are you contributing to it?
I really think what is coming is the open-mindedness of prevention. Instead of, we are seeing a really uptick in people talking to us first as they're starting new businesses or starting a new growth pattern with their businesses. Instead of this, I'll just wait till something happens and I'll have them fix it. That's not always the case. Sure, we can fix a computer and we can fix a system and we can fix a network, but we can't fix anyone's reputation after a breach. That is just something I can't do. So if you're the one that hits the news because of, a couple thousand people data breach with all of their information in their whole life, especially with what we do in mortgage, I can't fix that. So I'm very excited to see the progression of wanting prevention in this side of the industry with finance. And that's all we've ever hoped for, is that everybody gets on board with prevention and understands it's not millions of dollars to get this done. I think that's probably the one thing we hear the most is people are like, well, my company's small and I can't afford, you know, a contract person. That's absolutely not true because it's built around what you already have. So I think that's been the most exciting part, is really seeing a lot of the C-suite level folks getting on board with prevention.
And do you think there's anything else that's misunderstood or misconception about the price tag for your services, you think, or what you do?
Yeah, I think that they have this very grandiose idea in their head of what the cost would be, because it is such an important issue. It automatically translates to, well, this must be an outrageously expensive expense, and it's not.
All right.
Yeah.
Point blank. How do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if that ever does occur?
You know, I haven't had to run into this a whole lot. It is more the stigma of what we do, that they believe they can do a Google search and do what we do. But I have plenty of clients that will tell you that is what they have done and then ask for a review. And they realize very quickly it's a completely different game. Every single policy and procedure manual that we do is customized to each company. So you're going to come out, depending on the size of your company, with 120 to 250 page manual that we walk page by page with you, step by step. We teach all of the levels to everyone in your staff of what their role will be in an event and prevention. And so I think that's probably been the most exciting part, is getting to see each person get fired up about what their role is and understand how important what we do really is. So I think that's probably the biggest misunderstanding, is that we just give you a few pages and say, here, you're on your own. We stay with you for as long as you're a client.
Nice. Wow, you're really holding your clients by the hand to the finish line. You're making like a custom tailored solution that's basically caters to their case by case scenario.
Absolutely.
I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Wow. Any. Elizabeth the First.
Why is that?
I have been obsessed with her since I was
What, just her whole
I
life?
think, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about her being as ruthless. She was, but usually for a reason. I think showing commitment to leadership over anything else in life. You could not hear stories or read about anyone who gave up more personally for the greater good of everyone around her.
All right. I hope it seems like you're almost doing the same thing.
I would skip the cutting off people's heads part.
All right. Do that. What's the story behind your most memorable success or failure you think that sticks with you?
Wow. The thing I'm most successful about was being a mom.
Aww.
Yeah. I have 3 boys. 2 are mine. 1 is a bonus child. And they have all 3 now graduated from University of Alabama as of May. And our house is chaotic with 3 22-year-old boys, but everybody is just hitting adult life at a most amazing trajectory. And there's nothing I've ever accomplished more than watching them.
Well, the future must be bright for them. I hope they're like you and they manifest all their dreams and goals too.
I do too.
Is there anything else that inspires or influences you in your work?
Absolutely. I do not want to see anyone be a victim, whether that's behind a keyboard and a computer or out on the street. So what drives us in both companies is protecting the victim. And I think there's a lot of ways we can prevent becoming the victim ourselves and not need people. like what we do in investigation. However, that is the driver, is just protecting the people that can't protect themselves.
No, I applaud you. You really do have that giver's gain mentality.
Thank you.
All right, this is my second to last question. I'm gonna be really old and rewatch this one day. So like 80, maybe older than that. So what's one piece of advice you want to leave with me when I rewatch this?
I think what you're doing about hearing different voices, I've watched some of your episodes since we connected, and letting people give their voice and their expertise is the one thing that will never go wrong for you. And listening to those different aspects, everyone has a completely different path in life. And listening to those paths and what they did to make them successful, even more so what we did to fall on our face. And knowing that those moments are just as important, if not more important, than the actual success moments, I think you will be fine as long as you keep doing exactly what you're doing.
Wow, thank you, Toby. Yeah, I guess you do have to enjoy the journey and not the destination.
I will tell you firsthand, Vincent, I have definitely stumbled and fallen way more than I got to the top of the mountain. But it's the only way you can get there.
Yeah. Either you learn through trial and error, or you learn through someone else's trial and error. I
Absolutely
completely agree with you on that. Before I let you go, what's the legacy you hope to leave behind through your work?
I think this goes back to what the goal was. I want to see people want to genuinely help, whether that's with an organization or whether that is with an individual, whether it comes through coaching or prevention for cyber or finding the truth behind an investigation. At the end of the day, it all goes back to people. Either the individual or the people that work for your organization. And once you take care of them, everything else just comes easy, because your people are the foundation of an entire organization. And if you treat them correctly with respect and open ideas, there's no organization that follows that model that does not flourish.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right. I think Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time, and like, know your people. So like, because some people are working to live, others are living to work. So if you can hone that down to pinpoint that, then yeah, you're totally right. You can change the whole trajectory of an organization. Do you have any final words, thoughts, or comments to the people listening to you right now?
I just appreciate you giving this moment that is way off the beaten path of originations or even leadership. My greatest goal is to spread awareness of cybersecurity and protecting everyone around us, protecting our consumers. So I'm just very excited that we got to do that. And I appreciate you for letting me have a completely different path and voice on your platform.
No, Toby, thank you for having me. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from a queen of real estate with Tobi Libbra. She is literally hoping and make the industry a lot better through cybersecurity, and she's making the world a better place. Please get in contact with her if you are still not protected, and yes, spread awareness for her. It truly goes a long way. The last thing we need is another data breach. Toby, thank you for your time, and I greatly appreciate it. It was an honor speaking to you today.
You too, Vincent. Thank you so much.